Hey everyone, welcome to Wazesha Wednesday, and this is the last one of the year. Today is December 31st, 2025. And, happy Wednesday, Um, for months we've gathered here. I've been inconsistent with the Wazesha Wednesdays, but I've tried, right? So I'm going to pat myself on the back for at least trying to ensure that I do some of them consistently. But today is bittersweet because it's the end of the year. 2025 is ending here in the United States and 2026 is upon us. So it's bittersweet as we look back to 2025 and try and figure out, did we actually accomplish those things that we wanted to accomplish? And so I'm here to talk through what's the plan for 2026. As a reminder, Wazesha Wednesday is all about empowerment through shared experiences, and I've been really fortunate this year to have hosted a lot of people who shared some really deep experiences with me. And I want to turn those into today's Wazesha Wednesday and really just spend some time giving people a call to action for 2026. So in 2025 and even early in 2024, we talked about FUMBLE, right? And I think FUMBLE was core to the message that I was trying to put together on Wazesha Wednesdays. In sports, fumble isn't just a mistake, it's a moment when you lose possession of the ball. And so everyone looks at fumble as something that's really bad. And the mindset that I wanted us to have about fumble is that it's an opportunity and you cannot afford to let it slip. And so I'm going to talk about fumble today and remind people what fumble is. But I also want to take us back to back to what was the genesis behind fumble. The genesis behind fumble was the insight action gap. The first Wazesha Wednesday I did was about insight action gap. And what that was a lot of us know where we want to be, but then there's a gap between what we want to do and what we actually do. And that's what's called the insight action gap. We get the insight, we know where the end zone is, but we just don't know how to get it across the line. And that's where the insight action gap comes. And to be honest, everyone does it, no matter how knowledgeable you are about yourself and the tools that you need. You sometimes just end up fumbling and you don't learn from the fumble. So I'll be very transparent with myself. One of the things that I have failed to do in the fumble is execute well. And so I realize I have an inside action gap. I know what I need to do, but execution has been really, really difficult for me. So I hope for some of you it's been easier than for others. But anyway, let's kind of take a step back and let me go through what fumble is. Let me go through what a framework that I suggest that you use, and then we'll do a little call to action. So what does FUMBLE really stand for? Again, I want you to think about FUMBLE as a framework that you can use to get you from insight to action. So the F in FUMBLE is face fear. You will experience things that are new to you. Your mind and body will either freeze, fight, or flee. I want everyone to understand that fear is normal and it's a very healthy response to things that may harm us. In terms of evolution, fear is what has allowed us to survive because we fight, flee, or freeze when we encounter something dangerous. So what I want you to take away from the F in fumble is do not buy into people who tell you don't be scared because you have to be scared. It's natural. What I want you to do in 2026 is to face your fear. Acknowledge that you're gonna have to face your fear. And there's a number of ways to do so, but the two that I recommend to everyone is learning. The more you learn and read and know about a specific topic, the more equipped you are to face that fear. So when you face that fear by learning, then that allows you to overcome that insight action gap. And the second thing is exposure therapy. Exposure therapy means being able to expose yourself in small doses to that thing that's fearful so that you can overcome the entire fear. And here's how this plays out and I want it to play out for you in 2026. Imagine you're applying for a job and you receive a call from the recruiter who says, I want to meet with you and, do a phone screening for you or something like that. Immediately, I want you to feel scared. I want you to have fear because that means that this is real. But then I want you to face that fear by learning, reading all the things that will allow you to be able to conduct that interview well. And I want you to have exposure therapy. That means practicing what the interview is going to be about. You can have someone, ask you questions like, tell me something about yourself. I want you to expose yourself to all those things so that when you meet with the recruiter, you have faced your fear. Now, that's just a small example of how you can face your fear in 2026. But I want you to think about those two things, learning and exposure therapy so that you can face your fear. Again, fear is natural. Don't buy into anyone who says, don't be scared. I want you to have fear because that means that's real. So that's the F. The U is about getting unstuck. What role should I take? I don't get this. I'm stuck. Remember, progress rarely happens in a straight line. You don't go from A to Z. Think about going from a source to a destination using hope you use Google Maps, using Google Maps. It's not linear. That means you take curves, you detour, you stop, put some gas, and that's a normal part of growing up. It's a normal part of growth and learning. I want you, whenever you feel you're getting stuck, whether it's in a job, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's just in you feel like you're hitting your head against the wall, I want you to stop, take a step back, acknowledge that getting stuck is a normal part of the process, and then I want you to do something that's counterintuitive. I want you to stop what you're doing and do something completely different, something that's going to rekindle your motivation. So for example, if you're a student who's studying, you're doing your exam, your thesis, your dissertation, and you feel like you're hitting your head against the wall, stop all that, go outside, play soccer, do yoga, do meditation, something that's going to rekindle your motivation. And this could be a simple everyday task. It could be cooking, it could be singing, it could be dancing, whatever gets you away from that journey. And trust me, when you come back, you may find that you were trying to go through a road that has a barrier instead of detouring. This has been proven multiple times. And for those of you who think I'm kidding, I can tell you my career has not been linear. It's been left, right, leave a job, leave a role, come back, and find myself even further than if I had stayed linear. And one book that really talks to this is Hidden Potential by Adam Grant. If you can, I suggest you read it and look at the power of getting unstuck. Again, getting unstuck just means stop the linear progression, detour, do something else that's going to rekindle your motivation, then come back. The M in FUMBLE is probably the most important. Manage your mindset. The mindset is the most powerful weapon you have. We all ask ourselves, am I doing enough? Is this the right thing? Oh, I was born this way. Look at that person. That person has more talents than I have. That person is stronger, faster, bigger than I am, so I'm not capable of doing it. Indecision sets in when we think like that, and we have uncertainty and self-doubt. I want you to develop not just a growth mindset, but an infinite mindset. There's 2 or 3 different types of mindset. Fixed mindset is when we believe that we were born in a certain way and we're not capable of growth. Growth mindset means that I can learn based on the tooling that I have at birth, right? Nature that I have. I can learn and grow from it. But I think growth mindset also limits you to what you think your potential is. That's why I like the idea of infinite mindset. Infinite mindset means that I can continue to grow and learn and adapt. So, the belief that your abilities will be developed through dedication, learning, and hard work is what mindset is about. You're going to get stressed. You're going to get stressed every day, every week, every quarter. But when you reinterpret stress, not as evidence of inadequacy, but as evidence of how much you care about something, it will transform the way you think about it. So, mindset is all about reframing. I went through this experience. Did this experience feed into the fixed mindset that I have? Or did this experience contribute to the infinite mindset that I want to get? Again, reinterpret stress not as evidence of your inadequacy, but as evidence of how much you care about something, and it will transform the way you think about it. FUM, face your fear, get unstuck, manage your mindset. Those are very intrinsic things that I want you to do. Now let's talk about the extrinsic things that I want you to do. How does that become actionable? And that's where the BLE in FUMBLE comes in. B is about being bold. This is a tough one. Take on challenging projects. Advocate for new ideas or initiatives. Champion your ideas. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Raise your hand. When no one is talking, be the person to talk. When everyone in the WhatsApp group is saying something contrary to what you believe in, raise your hand and say it and state it. Champion your ideas. The one thing, I've been told many things in my career about growth, but the one thing that has been repeated several times and that I think has been responsible for a lot of the, let's say, path growing that I've had is being bold. It didn't come naturally, it was intentional. When I was in school, I would sit in front and raise my hand even when I knew the answer, because being bold is an action. Being bold is actually raising your hand, championing your idea with conviction, asking questions even when you know the answer. And remember, you may ask a stupid question. You may fail, people may laugh at you, but being bold is, it's a lesson, right? It's a lesson in actually being able to handle when people don't agree with you, okay? So when you raise your hand and people say, no, that's not a good idea, you can take that as I have failed, or you can take that as a valuable learning experience. Remember, be bold and reframe failures as opportunity for growth. The L is about leadership. Look, nothing works unless you take leadership of yourself, take leadership of the decisions you're going to make, and take leadership of all the consequences that come out. So self-leadership refers to the ability to manage your own thoughts, emotions, and behaviors in pursuit of those goals. This is your superpower. No one can be a leader like you. Everyone has been gifted by God with different leadership styles. Learn about your leadership style so that you can actually take it to the next level. Learn about the leadership style that you don't have so you can learn it. I encourage you to be emotionally intelligent. Be authentic. Practice growth mindset. Remember, tough times don't last, but tough people do. But most importantly, be very retrospective about who you are as a leader, and figure out what your leadership style is. And the last one, which I have failed at this year, is execution. Execution. At the end of the day, you have a job to do, and you have to execute swiftly, strategically, and with focus. After we've done all this FUMBL, execution is where the rubber meets the road. And so I want you to execute. And full transparency, that's where I've had a little bit of a failure. So, what's my call to action for 2026? Remember when we talked about Faith Kipyego and I asked you, what is your 4? I need you to name your 4. What is success to you? And it must be something measurable. Get employed, get promotion, make X amount of money, influence Y amount of people. Name your 4. 2, acknowledge there is a gap between where you are and what your 4 is. And that gap can be filled by using Skillset. So you have to probably tool yourself more than you've done before. Mindset, using FUMBLE like we've described it. And strategy, which is all about choices. And I'll talk about that in 2026. Remember when we talked about 6-7 and about frequency illusion? Frequency illusion means because you're thinking about something or you've experienced something, you start seeing it all the time. When kids started saying 6-7, I started seeing 6-7 everywhere. 67 degrees, temperature is 67 degrees, or, time is 6 past 7, or whatever, 6, 7 started becoming visible. And that's because your mind, when you notice a new piece of information, your mind starts focusing on that piece of information. It's called frequency illusion. So why is that important for us? You have to name what you want to accomplish. And when you do so, your mind will start focusing on all the things around you that support your goal. So name it so that you start seeing it. Start with who you are and then add to it. And the last thing I'll say before I sign off and wish you a happy new year is this. Instead of thinking about what you have to lose, think about what price you're willing to pay for indecision. 2026 is the year to be firm about your decisions. Don't live in maybe, don't live in decision, because discomfort is the currency to your dreams. Being uncomfortable is the currency you use to accomplish your dreams. Wezesha Wednesday, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. See you on 2026. You need me, Wezesha is always here. I'll try and be more consistent in 2026 with Wezesha Wednesdays. See ya.